Hey, what's up, everyone? Gaming Hearts 1 here, and today I'm going to talk briefly about Kingdom Hearts 15 and how this game might possibly be the best fighting game of 2022. And the only reason I say that is because there are hardly any high profile fighting games from this year that I can think of aside from this particular game. And, in some ways, it's kind of hard to believe that this game came out earlier this year because I don't know, the year just went by so fast to a point where it feels like this game came out over a year ago. But this game did come out back in February 2022. Ever since its release, the game has been something that people had nothing but good things to say about, from the character designs, the art design of each stage, from the gameplay modes. There are various gameplay modes, both online and offline, that people can enjoy. Offline, you have story versus and training. Online, you have ranked match, casual match, room match, online training, replay, and I think those are the only ones I know off the top of my head. But you have a variety of options in terms of gameplay in King of Fighters 15, and a lot of people will go on record and say that it's a vast improvement over its predecessor in terms of gameplay and gameplay mechanics and all that stuff. Also, SNK managed to put more emphasis on players learning how to use specific characters opposed to just button mashing in order to perform special moves and super moves and stuff like that, which is pretty cool, especially if you're a hardcore fan of the fighting genre. But if you're a casual gamer, it's going to be a little bit tougher to learn, and that's something that can easily drive casuals away. And I think it's one of those things that could keep King of Fighters from being as successful as, I guess, a Mortal Kombat or a Street Fighter game, because you gotta know, the Tekken series for the most part had nothing but combinations and stuff like that. It was not a button mashing type of franchise for the most part. But at the same time, Tekken, for the most part, has a great story, like a story that's been running since the 90s. And I don't think King of Fighters has been too big in terms of storytelling. And a lot of people will go on record and tell you that the storytelling in King of Fighters 15 is not the best. It could be a lot stronger. It's not as developed or as well thought out as what we got in Street Fighter V. And, I think for the most part, SNK likes to take a old school, I guess, arcade-based approach in relation to their fighting games. SNK is one of the few, I guess, video game developers that likes to maintain the old school 2D, fighting gameplay that was popular back in the 90s. And you see Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter do it as well, but they're more story driven. This is mainly just it's just just fighting and mechanics and stuff getting better. And I do feel that the storytelling aspect of KOF games could be a lot better, but at the same time, King of Fighters 15 is actually a pretty good game, but I don't think people would go as far as to put it above King of Fighters 98, because I believe the late 90s was probably the peak of popularity in relation to the KOF series, and I don't think any game has really come close to surpassing KOF 98 in terms of popularity. And I can go on record and say that KOF 15 is definitely, in my opinion, one of, if not the best fighting game of 2022, because we don't have any high-profile fighting games that came out this year. A lot of games that came out this year that were high-profile or popular were RPGs or action-adventure, because those are pretty much the predominant genres of gaming, along with maybe first or third person shooter. And we all know that Street Fighter 6 is coming out next year, so it was no mistake or no accident that SNK had KOF 15 released this year, because if it came out next year, it'd be overshadowed by Street Fighter 6, and God knows when we're going to get Mortal Kombat 12. We know it's it's supposed to be in the works, and we know it's going to happen because MK11 was too popular for it to not have a sequel. But nonetheless, King of Fighters 15 is a game that a lot of people can easily get into. You have like 39 different characters you can choose from. You have about 17 different teams you can choose from as well. But I think like 4 of those teams are DLC. You got classic characters who have been there since the beginning, along with newer characters, which gives people a lot of options, variety in terms of gameplay and who they can get used to. And honestly, I think KOF 15 is probably one of the better installments within this series, in the sense that it got more mainstream attention than all the games that came before. I guess like King of Fighters 14, or the games that came out in the 2000s, because during that decade no one really cared about fighting games. But it does seem like fighting games is they're slowly starting to become more and more popular over time. But unfortunately, I feel like the fighting genre is going to be overshadowed by the survival horror genre, which is most likely going to explode in popularity over the next couple of years, especially with the revival of the Silent Hill series, and the fact that we're getting like a new Resident Evil game, and we're getting a Resident Evil 4 remake and all that stuff. And the fighting genre is not as popular as it once was, but at the same time, I do feel like King of Fighters 15 is definitely a game that is going to be remembered as probably the best fighting game of 2022.